If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option, as Sori says. $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go into Village, Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. Shall lead them.
Yes. Okay, so we are on a DJ stream right now. The DJ is the narrator.
The narrator. And it's really interesting because it's basically like a soundtrack to a life. And it's building. So, yeah. Interesting stuff.
Babe, what did you just say for November 14th?
Well, I was talking to Sadie.
Oh, okay.
Apparently you're a Scorpio.
That's not my birthday, though. Pretty sure that was your ex's birthday.
I'm gonna be dead after this show. It was great knowing you guys.
Pretty awkward. So I'm not a Scorpio. That's his ex. That's
you know what happened? You know what happened?
No, I don't. Tell me.
The video of Reza.
Yeah.
You remember what the due date was?
Yep.
And then I said that won't happen.
His due date was the 15th.
Allah won't do that to me. No, because the last ultrasound we had, they actually said, oh, he's going to be coming on the 14th.
Oh, my God.
And I remember...
Yes, I know. And you were like, God's not going to do that to me.
I said, God is not going to do that to me.
I wasn't so sure he wouldn't do it to me, though.
No, he didn't do that to us, though.
No, he didn't.
He did it 2 days later.
Okay, next up on our list... What a weird intro that was. Awkward. Okay. So the next up on our list, we don't know what it is because this is a particular stream that the narrator decided we shouldn't know what it is. So the songs are here. They're titled number 4. So this is the 4th song on the list, and we're about to get into it and see what it is. What does he have? I'm
extremely curious.
Here we go.
Skid Row. Okay. Whoa. Slave to the
Rhyme.
This is heavy. This is heavy. Because this is a metal channel, bitches. Let's go!
I'm so stuck inside this rubber room. I got a punch clogs that leads to blind. I'm just another year in this assembly line. Whoa, no. The noose gets tighter around my throat, but I ain't at the end of my rope, 'cause I won't be the one left behind.
shit.
Slave to the Grind. Ooh, okay. What was the name of this one?
Skid Row.
Yeah, the band is Skid Row, but
Slave
what was
to
the
the
name?
Grind.
It is Slave to the Grind. I assumed.
You just quoted
well,
the title
I
as
just
well.
I assumed, and then I second guessed myself after. But I don't know why I should second guess myself. You should second guess yourself.
I never do that.
You should. You should have when you announced my birth date.
Hit the I didn't announce it. Hit the
What?
The
This?
the camera. There you go.
Boop. All right. So, okay, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Is that where is, or what's happening here?
Well, that's always the thing, right? It's the okay. It's either Jack is a dull boy or Jack is lazy. There doesn't seem to be a lot of in between.
No. So I'm watching this show with the girls. Actually, it's Gilmore Girls, and the guy got married. And the girl shows up and she was like, I thought we had plans tonight. He's like, I already told you that if there was overtime, I was going to work the overtime.
Right.
And then she was like, you never have any time for me, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you're selfish and you do everything you want to do. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you want a townhouse. I have to work. These things don't come. Like, I'm working for you. But she was very angry with him. She left and said she was just going to go out with her friends without him and left him to work.
I mean, it's, you know, it's part of the curse, man. By the sweat of your brow, you'll eat bread.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
But see, I knew that the job that I had
previously,
I just knew that it was not going to be, it just wasn't going to be amenable to a successful relationship.
With me. It probably could have worked with somebody else.
Oh, it worked fine with homegirl because
yeah.
then I got away from her and apparently she got away from me. She didn't want to be around me, obviously.
Yeah.
So like, it worked well, but you are different because as we said in the previous song, you're kind of obsessive about shit, especially time. Like time is a really, really big thing for you. Like, mm-hmm. So you know, it's one of the reasons we've constructed our lives in such a way that we're around each other all the time. You know what I'm saying? Mm. And so I just knew that shit ain't gonna work. But at the same time, like, you know, because we're doing multiple businesses and things like that, and I signed the kids, you know, reading selections and things like that, and things to watch, and you know, it's a big homie, Vaynerchuk, Gary Vaynerchuk. You know, and
I've never, you know, I only call him Gary V.
Gary V, yeah.
So I don't know what his full.
And like his big thing is like, grind, work. Mm-hmm. Like he basically set fire to his 20s.
Yeah.
And you know, he became, you know, he's a millionaire, you know, into his 30s. And like, you know, obviously that's the goal. Like you know, I don't, and we're dead serious about that shit, you know, and you know, we're working with, you know, I mean, we're, you know, shit's about to go down.
Oh yeah,
in a couple days. Like,
absolutely.
You know, we trademark lawyers and all this shit. Like, and you gotta, there's a lot of money that goes into you know, the whole, like, when I was in the hood, I used to hear that, you know, you need to spend money to make money. But I didn't really realize, like, the truth of it until, and so how are you going to generate all that capital? Like, I worked a lot, especially when we first got together. We still had problems because I was working so much. Like, I was working from home.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I was working from home, and I was like stuck in the thing, you know, working a regular job. And then we started YouTube. So then we would do 2 videos a day YouTube.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like,
and I was honestly in my past relationship, 10 o'clock, man, that was it. I was not staying up any later than 10 o'clock. No.
Yeah.
I'd be in bed for 10 and I'd be up early to get all my stuff done so I could have it well done. I like having more than enough time to do whatever I'm going to do to the best of my ability. But when I have limited time, then I start cutting corners and then I'm angry that corners are getting cut and that something's not going to be as excellent as I wanted it to be. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I can see that. But so that would be like.
But with Vinny, he wanted me to stay up. I'm like, really? Okay. Oh, yeah.
Well, it would be part of the big disagreements we would have because you'd be like, we're not spending enough time together. Are you working again? And then the other thing is I was working with a lot of females and one of them called me Vinny and you're like, I'm the only one that calls you Vinny.
Yeah.
And that became a problem. And it was like, why did you let her call you Vinny?
Yeah.
And like,
I put a lot of pressure on you.
there was a lot of like, I'm like, yo, listen, man, I could be doing XYZ thing right now if it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was definitely like it was a very difficult type of adjustment because the other one was like fine, like not seeing me for stretches at a time, and then you were like, wah, you know what I'm saying, and there
were so many things you had to adjust because you were used to just. If you were going out to go to the store or whatever, you just hop in the car and leave. And she didn't care one way or the other or whatever. I'm not like that. I'm like, where are you going? Like, what's happening? Even if you're just going to the store, I want to know, like, if you're going to the store, well, what store are you going to in case I need you to pick something up? Or, you know what I mean? Like, and I was used to life like that. So when all of a sudden you just go to the store, it's not even that it felt like crazy to me, but it really wasn't. I think honestly though that life had so many adjustments to it that it was I just couldn't do any more adjusting. I don't know, but I put a lot of pressure on you at that time, and you were working. You'd get up and you'd be working all day and you'd work late into the night, then it wasn't abnormal for you to be on email during the night too, and you know.
Yeah, because, you know, I mean, I've got a very extreme personality. So, like, you know, I want to make sure that I'm on top of stuff when I'm working. But it's actually, you know, so if I'm looking at these lyrics, he's saying, I got to punch the clock that leads the blind. I'm just another gear in the assembly line. Oh, no. The noose gets tight around my throat, but I ain't at the end of my rope. Because I won't be the one left behind. Can't be the king of the world if you're a slave to the grind. Like, there's got to be some, like, drop-off point at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why, like, I don't care. If this thing we're launching on Amazon doesn't work, I don't really care. Because something else is going to work.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? Although I'm pretty certain... because we did a lot of project research and stuff on it that we're going to be in pretty decent shape, and we've got a really good designer of the label that really like makes everything stick out.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Holy shit! Ooh, I don't know.
What are you saying?
I have a hard time with that one. My wife had to deal with my phone pager going off and then me leaving in the middle of the night and not coming back for a hot minute and with no word of what's going on.
Yeah.
That'd be so.
Yeah, and you know, she
was cool with this because she could probably replace me with a way better model.
I just knew that you were not, you know, and you'd been around me when it was time for me to take a trip. Like,
but I didn't realize
it. Be doing normal everyday shit, and then I get a phone call, and then
honestly, I never realized that was because you got a phone call. Honest to goodness, babe, I just thought, like, my perception of you is you were always flying by the seat of your pants, and you didn't care. You know, you'd show up.
I was just flying out to these places just to sightsee?
No, I figured they told you 2 weeks ago that you were going to be going, and then you know, you just didn't prioritize that was going to be happening. And then all of a sudden you were like, oh, gotta go now.
Oh, good. Good.
So I never ever thought it was, oh, you got a call and you had to rush out right then. I thought, oh my God, he needs a bookkeeper.
Yeah. Yeah, and some trips obviously were planned.
Yeah.
Like some trips were, and then some were not, especially, around 2016, 17, a lot of those were not planned as far as, whatever. But,
Yikes.
I just knew, I was like, there's no way that she's gonna be able to do it. I think it's the whole, like, it's just not something I'm gonna talk about type of thing. Like or I also didn't want to have the long conversation about, well, you said you were doing this the whole time and blah, and then you called and it was from this country. I mean, you said you were supposed to be here, and then I got the calls from this country here. Like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't want to have all those long conversations because I wasn't going to tell you anything. And you know my philosophy is like, just don't lie. Just something's got to one or the other. So I'm like, okay. And honestly, that last trip, there are so many things that just went so wrong.
Yeah.
I had to, the whole situation with the embassy, and then the whole Homeland Security thing, and the guy was like trying to jam me up. Like, I had been through that airport multiple times. It never happened, not once. Mm-hmm. I just skated through no problems. But so there were so many unique things about that last trip where it was just like, okay, it's time to like get out of there. Mm-hmm. But then I'm working the other thing, and and a lot of it was like me trying to adjust. You know what I'm saying, to life like one of you people. And, because, I mean, honestly, I had it made, like, because I was not in a situation where, I don't know, I had it made, in my opinion, for, like, the type of person I am, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
So now I was back here like a regular person, and I was just like, so I'm, like, taking all that energy that I had, and I'm putting it into this thing here, and you were, ugh. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, like, dealing with all the personalities and things like that, I just decided, like, I'm not the type of person, I'm not a good worker. In the sense of, like, I'm not a person who's going to be good at working for other people. You know what I mean? Like, so it was you, the last job that, like, last, like, conventional job I had was a 6-figure job. And it was you, and then actually the dude from Fist of Five, I was going back and forth with it. I was like, yo, what do you think, man? Like, I'm about to jump out of this shit and just, like, completely just go... Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, it's always good to bet on yourself. And then I reached out to you. I'm like, yo, are you good with this? And see, that's the thing that, to me, like, that made up for all the other shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you were like, yeah, babe, let's do this shit. Fuck these
1,000%.
Yeah, because I know, like, where you come from, like, the 6-figure thing is, like, some big, whatever. And, it was, it's a major, And for, I don't really care about money, to be honest with you. I don't care about any of that shit. Mm-hmm. But I knew that, like, with you, it was like, yo, you're leaving a 6-figure job. You're going to do YouTube and Amazon. What are you doing? So I understood, like, but you were like, no, let's do it. And you, like, responded immediately. It wasn't like a 5-minute thing where you were like, no, let's do that shit.
I had already thought about it a bunch before. And I already thought, like, oh, it would be so cool if he was... all of that, because you were putting in so many hours at that job, and I felt like it was just a waste in a sense, because it was taking it. Yes, it was a 6-figure job, but you were salaried, so you were giving them so much for their money.
Yeah.
And I felt like that they should have increased your pay to compensate for how much work you were doing. But in the end, I understand why, they're working with the bottom line too. So when you said, hey, what about this? I knew, like, to me, it wasn't betting on nothing. I was betting on you and me, and I knew that we could do this. Yeah. I didn't even realize at that point how much of a help Dorian was going to be. He's an incredible mind on that kid working with this business stuff. But I didn't know it was going to be that way. My bigger thing was just the one question that I had to ask myself, but I had already asked it previously, which was why I could give you such a quick answer, was I've been wanting to get into a house for a very, very long time. Well, very long time, a couple of years, So I knew that it was going to push that off, but I was completely good with that. I wanted you to be able to work for yourself and put your time in on your own thing. And I think it's been good, you know, and I made.
Well, now we see that there's reasons not to buy not to get the house now.
Oh yeah. That too. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. And we both kind of knew it when we were looking at houses. We were like, something's not.
Yeah.
Not right here. I don't know what it is, but something's not right.
Off. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, like when you're a man and you're supposed to provide, and people go, "Oh, the gender roles and the patriarchy." See, that's part of the patriarchy that doesn't really get talked about a lot. Is that, you know, yeah, definitely there's aspects to patriarchal understandings of society that make it difficult for women, but the traditional man works, woman stays home type of thing is that puts a hell of a lot of pressure on dudes.
Yeah.
Especially from my vantage point, dudes with character.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, I'm not really, it's just me personally. I'm not really a fan of like, you know, making, you know, putting your girl in a situation where she's got to go out and work and separated from her kids and all that. It's not even about being barefoot and pregnant. It's about, I know how painful it is for me to leave my kids behind when I have to go work. You know what I'm saying? Especially after they're aboard, much less, you know, you as a mom. So it puts a lot of pressure on you to produce and perform. And especially when you're like me, you know, people use, man, Vin, you're a unicorn. Because it's like barely graduated high school.
Yeah.
You know, I got into certain situations because certain organizations are looking for the right person with a certain specialized kind of, you know, whatever. And so that gets you access to this group. And then, you know, I was able to find, I was very my advantage was I was able to read people very well.
Yeah.
And I was able to, very, very easily able to read the room and able to sort of chameleonize and all that. And that gets you places in the corporate world.
Yep. A man of many hats.
And it'll also save your life in certain situations. So, you know, but at the same time, I always had that like Tom Brady. That's probably why I relate to Brady, because it's like he doesn't have the requisite tools for being the greatest quarterback of all time, but he's got a certain type of mindset.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, it took you 5 years to graduate high school, dude.
Yep.
And so I always came like I came in at a deficit, which made me outwork everybody, because like that was the only thing I could control. The only thing I could control was how hard I worked. You know, I couldn't control whether, you know, I wasn't going to go back to college because, you know, Shorty was pregnant with Dorian. So I had no choice and I had to grind. And yeah, after a while, you do kind of feel.
Aren't you so glad you didn't go to college?
Huh?
Aren't you so glad you didn't go to college?
Well, I don't know. You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think it would. How would that have benefited you? You already had what you needed to accomplish what you needed to accomplish.
The reason I'm saying I'm not sure is because I don't know. I never had the experience, so I can't say. You know what I'm saying? But you know, perhaps if I'd have went to college, I probably would have got recruited straight out from college to that. You know what I'm saying? And then I would have had a lot more time to acclimate, because everything was after that was boom, 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 boom. So I don't know, but yeah, man, I think that's kind of where I look at it was I didn't really start feeling the slavery aspect of it actually till I came home and I left that, you know, whatever. And
yeah,
I knew, like, you're not going to get a phone call. Nothing is going to change up here, man. Like, you're going to be doing this same thing, day in and day out, over and over again. And after a while, it was just like soul crushing, man. I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But you got to do that as a man. Like, I don't care. Like I said, I'm traditional. Say whatever. I don't care. But, like, you have to do that as a man. You have to provide. Like, people are depending on you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to send you out there to go to work for no other dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, because, you know, most of the business owners are men. So, like, oh, you're going to send your girl out to work for another man. Like, no disrespect to anybody. I'm just saying, like, my understanding of masculinity and all the rest of it, and my understanding of what my role is supposed to be, like, you know what I'm saying? But it put you in a put me in a situation where, like, you were grinding, but you have no other choice, in my view, as a man. You have no other choice. And I used to look at it like dudes back in the day. I mean, you know,
That's true, right?
farmland and all that other shit. You know, like those guys, a lot of times they didn't see their family. You saw your family on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? And half of that day was taken up by church. But
Yeah.
But you know, he was putting the chicken in the oven. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He was getting the wood. He was taking care of business. So I looked at myself like, look, man, you're lucky. You're just working from home. Like, relax. Stop being a bitch. So that's kind of like I would go through these you know, ruminations in my head. And then when we started YouTube and I figured out, holy shit, we could actually. There's so much risk involved. That's the thing. It's like, if you don't want to do the office thing and you don't want to grind or whatever, like there's so much risk involved in to go out, striking out and doing it yourself. Mm-hmm. And you got to be able to, you got to be real solid on what your plan is to make it work.
Yeah, and it's not just that. You have to be ready to fight for it. You have to be ready to put in work when you don't want to. You know, today everybody was, you know, the boys, Vinny was watching the game with the boys and the girls were watching the babies, and I was editing and cooking supper and working on setting up something that ended up having to be redone later. And like, I started getting super frustrated because I'm like, I just want to be able to sit down and watch a show with the girls. And then I thought to myself, you know what? How can I complain? Like, there are moms, and I see their posts all the time where they have to leave their babies at daycare and go away to work. So I'm upset because I can't like sit down and just like play with the kids because I'm working. But at the same time, I know all those moms would give just about anything to be able to sit in their living room with their kids and work.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
100%.
But yeah, I do think that, well, it says you can't be the king of the world if you're a slave to the grind. I think that that's true and not true at the same time, because a lot of people that are now entrepreneurs were people that were a slave to the grind, but they wanted to be the king of their own world. And so they did double time. They worked their schedule. And then when they got home with what little bit of time that they had, they worked on the entrepreneur stuff, doing the research, you know, watching the videos, gaining an understanding and finding what would work for them. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of seriousness, you know, like we have a lot of people on our team, so it's working out pretty good for us. But I think that there's a lot more people that could be the king of their own world, but they have to be willing to put in that.
Well, it's funny because I'm in a dialogue right now with one of my best atheist friends or agnostic friends now, about slavery in the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that was crazy is that the system was structured such that the slave could actually end up being richer than his master if he double timed it, because a lot of it was debt slavery. And when I think about America and how many people are in debt slavery, like, yeah, now you got people having to work 2 jobs. Like, if you look at the seats in Laban in the ancient Near East, I've been doing a lot of reading on law codes with Hammurabi and other stuff. Perk, I'll send you a file you might be interested in. But like,
you will be.
If you look at the way that slaves were treated in the ancient, I'm not even talking about the Bible, just in the ancient area, like some of it is actually better than the way a normal worker, or the things that have been normalized that we, especially like, you know, right at the peak of the Industrial Revolution, prior to, you know, child labor laws, things of that nature, OSHA, things like that. Like, you had people losing limbs, you had people losing their lives, and they would just go on like nothing happened, man. You know what I'm saying? There was not even, it's like unbelievable. Like there are different kinds of slavery, and obviously when somebody says, "Oh, I'm a slave to the system," now, you know, sometimes, you know, black folks, that's not slavery. It's like, come on, bro, there's different kinds of slavery, right? Like, they're not saying like transatlantic slave trade type slavery, but human beings were not constructed to just work all the time. And to Perkinos's point, that's why in the Old Testament God put in all these feast days and all these Sabbaths and all the rest of it. Like he purposely made it so that you couldn't work. And there are other times, you know, he would say, drink a strong drink, go get drunk, do your thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you'd be no good for work the next day. Like your life, when I was working, because I had to take a pause out of the game for a little bit. I worked at the Walmart distribution center, and it just sucked the life out of people. And like, there's timers and there's you know, you got to put the boxes in at this certain kind of time and all the rest of it. And there's this one guy that does like 15 hours a day and to feed his family, make sure everything. It's like, and he's been doing that for 10 years. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because there was never time. And then it was like, oh, that guy's a good worker. It's like, okay, maybe he's a good worker or you're a horrible company because this is the best person I've ever seen at this job.
Yeah.
And having that commitment. And he's got to do these ridiculous amount of hours. Walmart's a multi-billion-dollar a year company. Like, you can't do something for this guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's still a form of slavery, even if it's not. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes I drive by the labor ready, you know, where we are, and like it gives you a good day job and all the rest of it, but it's such a racket because you don't have to do healthcare, all this shit. Like you don't have to take care of these people,
right?
But you just collect. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like it's, and you'll see them, you know, because you know I've been up 5, 6 in the morning, whatever, about to go to the gym, and you'll see them out there, and it's like I get so uncomfortable. I'm so white people, but I get so uncomfortable because I feel like they're on the block, like on the auction slavery block when they were, you know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what would happen in the ancient world. Most of the people that were into slavery sold themselves into slavery.
Yeah.
They'd get up there and they'd say, hey, I can do this, this, and that because they were in debt slavery. You know, they were in debt or whatever. So it's just like, it is a form of modern day slavery. I mean, it's closer to the ancient Near East and the transatlantic slave trade, but it's still... And you just see, like, it just progressively sucks the life out of people.
Absolutely.
But our society is structured such that, I don't know if this is true, but I was looking at that Elon Musk thing where it's like, a kid can't get, what you pointed out yesterday, right? He can't get 10 grand for a business loan, but he can get 100K for a student loan. Mm-hmm. Yep. So they'll give him 100K to learn how to be a worker. Mm-hmm. But they're not going to give that kid any money to take a risk and open up his own business and bet on himself.
He's going to spend the rest of his life paying off the school debt that he may be able to pay off before he dies. But a lot of times they don't pass much on to their kids, and then their kids end up in the same situation because their parents went to college and they go to college and then they accrue debt. But it's just crazy that the system is set up that way. And secondly, you would think that our country would say, oh, hey, you know, maybe if college is very important, we should make it so that way it's very affordable. So then people can do that, go to work, and they don't have to spend so much time paying off their debts. They can spend more time researching the things that our country needs. You know what I mean? Like, wow. Yeah. But yeah, the other thing too that you were saying about I think, well, it had to do with Hammurabi's code, but also like the biblical stuff too, is that in the biblical stuff, if you became a slave because you owed somebody something, then they would work for you to work off their debt, but you had to provide room and board for them, and so on and so forth, and healthcare. And on top of that, if you mistreated them in any way, then they were let off. They could go to the judge at the time and say, "Hey, this is my case. This is what's happening," and they got a fair hearing. And the other thing is, it was possible for the slave to become more rich than the person that they were working for, which is crazy. But like that goes to like modern day slavery or the transatlantic slavery. To my understanding, they worked sun up to sun down. There was no extra time for them to do things that they wanted to do. And I think that was probably part of it was probably strategic why they were doing that. Yeah. But the idea that these people were able to, they had enough of their own energy left over at the end of the day for them to be able to go and get another job, to be able to get out of their debt more quickly. Isn't that interesting? Like,
yeah, well, to Perkinos's point,
that means there must have been some understanding of when the day is done. You cannot make somebody work sun up to sundown.
100%. Yeah. And to Perkinos's point, employers do a lot of bad shit. Unreliable schedules that wreck someone's personal life or even control over someone's right to use the bathroom.
Oh, absolutely. I remember, like, you could not ask for days off. And they gave you, like, that was the thing. Like, they gave you the schedule and you worked your life around the work schedule.
Oh, yeah.
And we would say, like, is there going to be a set schedule? Nope, we're not setting anybody's schedule. You guys are just going to just check the schedule at the beginning of the week.
Yeah. I remember I got promoted to a supervisor. I was like 21, 22 years old. And I'd have these 50, 60-year-old French-Canadian people, women, raising their hand. I'm like, hey, what's up? They're like, I need to use the bathroom. And I just told everybody on my team, I said, don't ask me to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I felt so... And even my way of handling it, I'd say, don't. I said, tell me you're going, and then, I'll see you when you get back.
Yeah, to have them ask is just weird.
I said, I'm not good. I said, yeah. I said, you're not doing that. And, and it was crazy because somebody went off to the bathroom, and then I got a call from workforce, and they were like, yo, why is this person off the phone? I was like, yeah, they'll be back. He's like, why is this person off the phone? And I said, they went to the bathroom. They're like, we have a procedure for that. I said, I just hung up the phone. I don't give a fuck about your procedure. And at the time, like, I was a young guy, wife and the thing, but there's just a line where I just couldn't do it. But even my solution to it was still not very humane. Like, these are people that could be my grandmother.
Yeah, it wasn't your business, though.
Like, it's not my fucking business that they need to go to the bathroom. But yeah,
no, I'm saying you didn't own that business. So you were already breaking policy on what you were doing. Like, if we ever have a bunch of employees, there's going to be certain ways that things are going to be run and certain things that are never going to happen in our company.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It wasn't until I became a manager and stood behind the scenes where I understood that the accountants were running everything, and accountants don't know any of these people. They don't know their names. They don't know anything. All they know is how many human beings generates X amount of revenue to their bottom line. That's all they know. So all their policies were working around these accountants who lived in literally Aspen, Colorado, and all this ski resorts.
They have no friggin' clue.
And I would listen to them talking about, like, laying off 500 people to hit a 0.5% plus up on a previous quarter's flash.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, well, we're off skiing. Like, I would sit and witness that shit. And it was just this very light type of, and I was like, shit, man. Like,
wow.
I'm so happy I'm out of that whole type of situation. But it's up. But, like, the more and more I look at, ancient Near Eastern slavery, the more I'm like, a lot of these people where we live, like, with limited skills or whatever, would have fared much better in the ancient Near East than modern day
crazy?
Capitalism. It's unbelievable.
We were just at Walmart the other night, and they do this dumb thing where the self-checkouts get closed like a half an hour or something before the store actually closes. So then the two employees that are left working at the end of the night, have to run the two registers with the lines just going way out. The whole thing is absolutely ridiculous.
I know.
And so, as the customer, you're getting progressively more annoyed at the stupidity of the entire thing.
Yeah.
And then, like, one of the employees came by and she was like, what the hell? When she looked at the giant line, and, I started laughing and so did the other girl. And I was like, we should be saying that, we should be saying.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, you know what? She's not owned by Walmart. She is not Walmart. She works for Walmart, and she herself thinks this is a stupid idea that they have, and why they're doing it is so super frustrating. And I'm sure it's somebody, like you said, somebody in corporate far away who has no clue what this is like and thinks, I don't even know what reason they could come up with. But the customer, not the customers, the cashiers were saying, oh, we're frustrated about it too, but this is policy and we have to follow policy. But it's like, man.
It's all quarter to quarter. It's all quarter to quarter. That's all it is. You flash at the beginning of the quarter, and you sandbag, you do all the tricks of the trade, but at the end of the day, that's all it comes down to. What do you get the song?
Sometimes
this was a heavy song. The 9.3 for me.
Oh, a 9.3. I think I'm gonna go with a 9 even on this one for me.
All right.
9.1.
9.1. There you are, dear listener. Sit tight, guys.
More to come. Lots more to come.
We're coming right back. You guys are going to spend a lot of time with your brother and sister today. That's for sure. Having said that, dear listener, Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.